being I have some more space on the tape, I'm gonna tape you out a little bit of comedy that to use tape up. It'll be in 2 or 3 sections, so you can look at that section and turn it off, and if you want to look at the others, you can look at a section at a time, or look at all of it. I don't know how long it takes the rest of it, but you can look at it what you want, and laugh at it what you want, and I'll throw it away. I don't care what you do with it. But it's since we changed from electricity to natural gas, I took electric stove down the basement, so that's where the rest of this will be taken in the basement there at the house. So you can look at that, enjoy it for what it is, and also I'm gonna probably on a separate tape. I'm gonna tape what photographs I have of Freed from a time that there is photographs up until the present time, because Alice has photographs of you, Mabel, and you, Barbara, in her photographs books in the house. I don't know if she has any of Freed in there or not, but I wouldn't try to tear up her photograph books to copy photographs. That these are the ones that photographs I have in my head in the albums that I had of my own pictures, and those that since Alice and I was married, well, she has those possibly in her photograph books in the house. But so I'm gonna show you some amusing stuff in the basement. You can laugh at it if you want, or tell me I'm crazy. It don't make no difference. But so I want to turn this off and copy some. Gonna try to make a meatloaf. I don't know how come everybody got me in the idea that I can make a meatloaf, but I'm doing this just for a lot of fun in it. Alice's brother-in-law, Glenn Storkey, Agnes's husband, years ago, I went down and he wanted me to make a meatloaf. I don't know where in the world he ever thought I could make a meatloaf, but anyhow, I made a meatloaf down there. I don't know whether I ever made one before or not, but and every time I went down, I almost went at a time, he wanted me to make a meatloaf. He went visiting up to their friends up in Biglerville, Pennsylvania, next to Gettysburg. One weekend, a bunch of us went up there. So he didn't have me to make a meatloaf up there, so. But I always could do a little cook, at least boil water, but there wasn't much on baking, and never knew much about the recipe, so several weeks ago I made a meatloaf and had some carrots down the basement here, so I put some carrots in it, and they taste right good, so I make a meatloaf with my onions. I chopped up about 3 carrots. And Glenn always had to make a meatloaf with me. Meatloafs used to make, used to use, say, 2 pounds of beef, 1 pound of ground pork, 1 pound of ground veal, and that made a good meatloaf. But they said beef has too much cholesterol, and they come out with this ground turkey. And 4 years, some time ago, I made a turkey meatloaf, and it turned out right good. So since then, I've been making a turkey meatloaf. So there's gonna be a meatloaf that use about 3 pounds of ground turkey and 1 pound of ground beef. I think the ground beef turkey is a right fine ground meat. So I use a pound beef to give it a little more texture. So this is ground turkey. Last time we bought fresh ground, but they had a good space on this, and so I bought some Arctic ground turkey, and it seems to be very good turkey meat. So that's what I'm using now. It's not fresh ground. It's ground at the packing house. But see, neither one ever would go hungry if there was anything to eat, because we could cook them one way or the other. Because we learned that's when we used to go camping out, in Stafford County. We been camping out there for years and years and years, and anything in the neighbors had in the garden we could cook. And if any kind of meat that we had, we could, whether it's rabbit or squirrel or birds, well, we never did try to possum or groundhog, but we learned to cook most anything that we wanted to cook. But as far as following a recipe, I don't know anything at all about that. But so I just thought I'd tape this just for fun of it. Tape a couple of fruitcakes and I'm able to. So that's just 3 pounds of turkey, and I use just a little over a pound of ground beef in this. And I'll get rid of this trash here. So. Look a little better there anyhow. As far as seasoning, I don't know what seasoning anybody used for meatloaf or anything else. I just grabbing where my spices is and grab a bunch of stuff, and just a little bit of that on it. Because that chopped onions, but this Lipton onion soup has a seasoning with it, and it's really good. So, and I don't know how much of this to use. So I use what's in the whole box. It's 2 envelopes of it, and let it go at there, because never supposed to taste the same way twice anyway. So this is I said Lipton onion soup. There's so much food on television that any brand do. So this is John onion soup. It has a space on it, so I bought the John instead of Lipton. So that's what I'm using there. And as far as spices, I don't know, let's say a spoon of this, a spoon of that, but this is parsley flakes, so I don't know how much, what you call a pinch. I guess that'd be a good pinch, wouldn't it? Whatever. And same as sage, I use sage about the same way. I don't know how much sage to use. Why you say a pinch? Is that a pinch? I don't know. Just whatever looks like it. It'd be a pinch. It'd be all right. Now this is garlic powder. I don't know much about garlic. I never did care for much for garlic anyhow, but Alice likes it, and houses, all houses people like it, so I guess that's getting a little hard, but I guess we can put a little garlic powder on that. Don't want too much, but enough to give us some flavor. This is, I stay away from salt as much as I can, so give it a little flavor. I used to use celery salt, so. Is that enough celery salt? I guess so. Maybe put a little more. So I don't know what spices to really use, just paprika. What paprika tastes like, I don't know, but they use it as spice, so I guess I use it too. It's pretty red, and I give it some color if it don't give it any taste. I don't know what taste the paprika is. Now this is mustard. Of course, a lot of people don't use any mustard, but I don't know what I use it. Most everybody puts celery in there. I didn't have no celery, so we use some celery seed. Now this is black pepper. I guess that's enough of that too. They always said use tomato juice to help to mix it up. I had to take medicine. I like taking V8 juice. So I bought a whole bunch of V8 juice. So I was used to buying tomato juice when you have V8 juice, so we put some V8 juice on it. Just to soften it up a little bit. I do it with my hands. I never get it in my feet because it's too small a thing to get my feet to. But it's all got a little soft. It's still firm yet. going to mix this place all up good. It's a lot of fun. You know, pretty nice camping here when we was camping. We used to enjoy camping, but we also enjoyed eating, and we did a lot of cooking. Of course, we was cooking within restaurant. Free was our bakery. Big cornbread or corn cakes was out of this world. And then used to make a old hoe cake. I don't know what I made. I didn't pay much attention to it, except we ate an awful lot of it. After he passed away, I asked Mabel, his wife, how he made it, and she never did know. But he'd make us and just take the old dishcloth and wipe the iron over the top of the iron stove off, and make those and flatten them out and not too thin, and just throw them on top of the stove. And after it's down a while, you take an old knife and flip them over, turn them over, and they were some kind of good. We call them hoe cakes. Then you used to make an ash cake. We take the dough off the ash pit, open that up, take the old wood metal shells and you rake all the gray ashes to the side and make it ash cake, and you throw them right in on those hot coals and then pull those old ashes back over the top of it. We call them ash cakes, and they would just take them out of when the heat things was done, just take them out of the ashes and take old cloth and knock the dry ashes off of them, and they were delicious. We always put some bread in the meatloaf piece. Mama did. I guess I always did that. Old dry biscuits or rolls, they're very good. This is rye, coarse rye bread, so it doesn't make much difference. Just gives a little bite and a little texture. But we have to have some more tomato juice in there now. We've got lots over here, so I use much more of it. I think it takes more juice when you use this turkey than it does beef, because beef is a little juicier than the turkey. But one thing about meatloaf made of turkey meat is there's a lot of juice to it. The juice is not greasy like it is with beef and pork. And my mama always said, use a couple of eggs in meatloaf. I don't know why. I don't know what 2 eggs did that much meatloaf, but last time I didn't have no eggs. So I don't remember what I used. I got cream of tartar, but I don't know whether they used that or not. In fact, it could have been some plaster Paris I had up there. I don't know whether it might have been what I used. It stayed together right good anyhow. But I don't know whether it could have been cream of tartar, or could have been plaster Paris. But last meatloaf wasn't too bad. So, but I had eggs this time, so I'm not throwing those on the floor really. And it was supposed to go in the trash can. But these are onions and carrots and mixed up, so I'll put them in there. And I think that's all it goes in. I didn't put my dishcloth in. No dishcloth there. I didn't put that in there. Put that. That's the way. That's just made up for. That ought to be about enough for 2 people in here, I guess. Okay. I'll have about can that juice I put in that. I'll have a ½ inch more of juice in the bottom when that's cooked. I guess I better wash my hands before I turn the stove on. Well, after you're done, we'll let you start eating. We'll let you know how it tastes too. It's So that's the way you make a meatloaf. That'll put some of these television chefs to shame, wouldn't it? I don't know what to turn that on, but I never knew what temps turn on. I guess 325 degrees would be enough. But yeah, that'd put Mr. Food or some of these chefs to shame. But now that's what the meatloaf looks like. We'll let you know how it tastes after a while. Well, we have to. I'll let you come on out of the camera and clean up this mess now. Yeah. Because that's the worst part of it. Cooking is cleaning up the mess. So. Now here's the time of reckoning. See if this thing gonna look now. is. And I don't look too bad. And I'll let you know how it tastes after a while. And that thing you just saw, I made a big mistake in that. I put raw carrots in it, and raw carrots in the meatloaf does not get thoroughly cooked tender. And the reason I put carrots in here, one time before we had some few cooked carrots left over, and I just threw them in the meatloaf, and they taste good. But when you put raw carrots in there, they did not cook up tender. So if you go try to use that recipe, tofu with raw carrots in the meatloaf, because they don't cook up tender. I thought it was kind of, after I put those carrots in, I thought the taste all right, but they certainly didn't cook up tender. So I just putting this on the tail end of it. So don't, because I would charge you a royalty if you use that recipe anyhow. So, but just leave out your raw carrots. Anyhow, so I'm gonna try another thing. We always like pumpkin pie, and so I tried to make a pumpkin pie several times and it turned out right good. So I said, how about making a change, put a little raisins in? So I put some raisins in and called it French pumpkin pie. So I want to tape this just for fun. I do everything on the camera just for amusement. So, but I cook them with raisins, so I guess I have to put the raisins on first and let them start cooking. I don't know how many to put in. I put about a half a box here, and then we'll start making pie. Crumble them all up. I never did do any baking about that. Free was always a bake that. Then put a little water in that. I don't know. Free and I always cook, but I never did do much baking, but would. But we like pumpkin pie. Marguerite and I always made wonderful pumpkin pies, and I never tried to make pie crust but one time, and that turned out as I'd rather try to eat the sole of my shoe than the pie crust. So never did try to make them on pie crust. So I'm gonna use graham cracker crust for the pie. Is there a number of pie crust you use? A lot of people say, well, any brand will do, but I don't know, we've tried so many brands of pie crust from the John Safeway, but the best pie crust I can find is these ready-mix crust from Keebler. They're the best tasting crust, so that's what I use. So I got the raised on, start cooking, and I get the rest of my junk out, get ready for making that. So I'll need I'll need my mixer. And my spatula. I keep all this junk down the basement because it wouldn't do for me to get up in the kitchen and do a thing like this, because I make such a mess, and I wouldn't want to have to scrub the kitchen floor and the walls and all the time off and stuff. So I get down the basement, and I don't worry too much about the mess down here. So that time I get all this stuff together, maybe those raisins will be cooked enough. See, I'm gonna have to get some bowls. Just a minute, be right back. I don't have no space, cabinet space. I have my bowls stuff stuck other place, so I had to go get those. I guess better use canned pumpkin. Yeah, Margaret made pumpkin pie, and Alice and I always really loved Margaret's pumpkin pie, so when I tried to make it, it didn't turn out too bad, and then I decided something different. Being I love raisins, and of course during fruitcake season I go up to 40, 50, 45, 50 boxes of raisins. So, and I eat raisins at night, so I always keep a good supply of raisins on hand. Get down the basement. So, my raisins will begin to boil away almost. So, get my pumpkin out ready for the pie. Yeah, like that last thing you saw, I put it on camera just for fun, and say I never did learn much about cooking, except I know I never go hungry for long as something to eat. And Free and I did do a lot of cooking when we was young. I had that cabin right there. We had that old stove. So that's pumpkin, and I guess I don't know what spices I use. I guess cinnamon and ginger would probably be what I would use. This is ginger. I don't guess you want too much ginger because you want enough to taste it, so I'll put a little ginger in it. And now this is cinnamon.
I never knew how much stuff you use. Let's say a dash. I don't know how many said a dash or a pinch, but I guess that's a couple of good dashes. And Marguerite always used a little spirits in her pumpkin pie. Mama didn't, but Marguerite did, and it gives a good flavor. So I have a little John Bean bourbon here, so let's see what put some of that in it. Just enough for a good taste anyhow. I'll say, 3/4 of a cup, I guess that's not for pie. 3/4 of bourbon in there. That'll give it that'll give it a little taste. And we'll stir that on up and see what it comes up. What it comes up. Got my mixer hung up now. Ain't this something? Got my mixer hung up. I didn't say what you thought I said now. There it is. Hope I didn't mess it up. No, I don't guess it did. Just about plug it back in now. It won't go too good without being plugged in. Just mix that spice and a little bourbon up together. See how my raisins, I guess my raisins is probably done enough. They don't have to cook too much, just cook them enough to soften them up a little bit. I'm afraid I got too much juice on them, so let that juice out. Doesn't have to put the raisins in and now and see what. Flip it. Mix them all up with it. Don't take much to mix those up now. Let me see. And I never did know what Marguerite Mama did use for making pie, but I just had to mix it with something, and so first time I tried it, I used butterscotch instant pudding, and that tasted right good. And that's all the sweetening I used was the pudding. So that's what I use now, butterscotch pudding. And by putting those cooked raisins in there with that juice, the first pie I made, the thing was really like pudding, like soft pudding. So I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what, I creamed my tire up there and got this thing back there of plaster Paris, but I know Mama used cornstarch a lot, so I said I use some cornstarch. This is corn. Yeah, this is cornstarch, not the plaster Paris. But it needs something in it to kind of stiffen the powerful of it. So that's I use a little cornstarch and mix that up. Yeah, this. Put that back up there and see. I got some milk up there, and I don't know how much milk really is used for that. I think the thing says 2 cups, but I'm afraid that makes it too thin, so I don't know. That's not quite a cup. Well, that's about 1.5 cups. That's all the milk I'm going to use in here. So, let's see what it turns out like. Mix that up. See how it turns out. Stiff fast now. Oh yeah, I guess that's plenty. I'm gonna put this. I say I never made it any bacon at all. And like Harley, and Ruth got to us, they couldn't make fruit cake, and I went and helped them make fruit cake, and then after Aunt I passed away, I was making fruit cake, but I never did do any other kind of baking. I thought I'd tell you about it. I tried to make a pie once, and I crushed it just like it was worth in shoe leather, so I never did food. But using this graham cracker flour, now when I mix it all into it, don't get have to mix it up. Don't get have to mix up too much because you don't want any thinner than. Then just put in this graham cracker shell. See. I don't know whether that's going to be too thin or not. It looks kind of thin, but sometimes I get it too thin, sometimes I don't. But that's all right. We can't eat like a pie, we eat like a pudding. Yeah, look like it's going to be kind of thin, but my fingers clean. I just washed them last night. Now that's all there to pie. That's all in the world is pie. All put it in the refrigerator and hope it gets hard. But you know, I couldn't nowhere in the world go upstairs and with that pie fix that fast. It'd be so to make everything it's a little harder job than what it is. What I do. I usually come and stick a little pinch of flour and just throw it in my face like that, see, and put some on my arm. And then I sit down. I sit down and read for about a half an hour before I take the pie up, see. And she thinks I've been down here for all this time working on that pie, and it took a few minutes to make it. But you can't let them always know what you're doing, so that's the way I do it. So I sit down here and I got a chair over here. I sit down and read for a while, and I take that pie up and I said, and look at how hard it was to make that pie. She eats it and enjoys it and thinks I sweated a lot of it. See, you have to do things kind of get a little enjoyment and pleasure out of it. So that's the way I work my cooking. She thinks I sweat down here, and I get in. Of course, I make a mess. She don't know the difference. But that's my pie. And I hope and put it in the refrigerator. She'll. But I usually sit down about a half an hour or so. So take a little time to make the pie, because just a few minutes took to make a pie, it couldn't taste right. So when I work a half an hour, 3/4 hour on a pie, it tastes good. So that's the way I do it. So bye-bye.